Okay. Okay. So I want to properly introduce you. So again, we have tremendous Akara Satov to all the amazing women that come on and teach us and share with us. Really, that you took out your time. I know, Adina, carpool, you had to organize this, it was not simple. So thank you so, so much. Really, thank you. And can't thank you enough, honestly. So Mrs. Adina Ribacoff lives in Toronto, and she is the Limudei Kodesh principal of Tiferes Beis Yaakov. She has been in Chinuch for over 25 years. She is a renowned speaker on topics relating to the Jewish woman, the Jewish home, and parenting. She loves learning with women and inspiring the mitzvahs and Ahavas Hashem. Thank you so much, Adina. I'm going off.
Naomi, wow. You're thanking me, but I'm overflowing with nachas ruach laHashem, and overflowing with the beauty of what just went on over here. I think I'm going to change my carpools bli neder every single Sunday now, because this is so kedai. This was so beautiful and so uplifting and so inspiring. And I want to thank you, Naomi, for giving me the zuchos to join and to participate and to experience this beautiful morning. So really, it is not I who you need to thank, but it's I who need to thank you for inviting me this morning. And Be'ezrat Hashem, I am so excited to meet all of you in person when we greet Melech HaMashiach and dance together. And that lady who had the tambourines, I want a tambourine. I want one, right? I want to dance and I want to sing with all of you. And we're going to Be'ezrat Hashem, meet each other in person very, very, very soon. So the topic for today's talk, maybe because I live in Toronto and we have a lot of snow over here, so we always look, to Torah to see how do we weather this storm. It's really cold and very, very snowy. And there's a beautiful pasuk in Eshes Chayil which we're all familiar with. The pasuk is Lo tira leveta mishaleg. The woman is not afraid of the snow, ki chol beita levushanim, because her entire
Adina, we lost you. Am I the only one that lost her, or did other people?
It's frozen.
No,
She's frozen.
Okay.
I guess I hope the cold's in.
Okay.
Thumbs up. We're good?
Okay, perfect. Go ahead. Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll look to the Mefarshim a little bit to glean a little bit about what this pasuk means. What is it? What is this sheleg? What is shanim? What is she dressing her entire family in? And the Metzudat David says the following. He says, Lo tira, lo tefached be'avur anshe beita mikrirut hasheleg. She's not afraid for her family from the cold of the snow. Ki chol echad me'anshe beita, everyone in her family, melubash b'malbush tzavua, is dressed in this colorful clothing, tola'at shani, from the silkworm. Kitzeva hashani, what is this color of the silkworm that she's dressing everybody? Shehu adom, it's the red color. So this silkworm is making this red silky color that she's dressing everybody. Tiv'o lechamem me'od, because the color red has the nature to be very hot. Now we have a lot of questions on this pasuk, right? So the Metzudas David says to us, she's not afraid of the snow, from the cold snow, because she's dressing everyone betzeva adom. She's dressing everyone in this red, silky clothing. So some of the questions we might have on this pasuk is, first of all, red is not a very hot color. You come out to Toronto, you'll see a lot of black, a lot of brown, a lot of gray. Red is not known to be a warm color in the winter months. Second of all, we know that red is not a tsanua color. So how could she be dressing everybody in red? It's not a tsanua color. Third of all, what kind of krirut hasheleg are we talking about? So if it's krirut hasheleg, you would think she's dressing everybody in wool or in cotton or in something warm. But silk is not a warm type of material. So, right, so we have a lot of questions on this pasuk of really what's going on. So in order to begin to touch the surface of what Chazal here are trying to point out, and what Shlomo HaMelech wanted to bring out about the tchuna, the midah of the woman here, we're going to find another place in Tanakh, a place that's familiar to all of you, where it talks about krirut, cold. What kind of cold are we talking about? What's the cold that Shlomo HaMelech is talking about here? And we're going to turn to Parshas Ki Teitzeh, the parsha that of Zachor, Parsha Zachor, which everyone is familiar with, that we read every single year before Purim. We read and we have a mitzvah to remember Zachor et asher asa lecha Amalek. So I'm going to read the parsha quickly, just in the few psukim, and I'll translate. And let's see what it's talking about. Zachor et asher asa lecha Amalek b'derech b'tzitcha miMitzrayim. You have to remember what Amalek did to you when you came out of Mitzrayim. Asher korcha b'derech. Now the pshat is asher korcha b'derech. He chanced upon you. He chanced upon you. He surprised attack you. But we'll see in Rashi, there's a lot of depth to this. He was like a zanav. He was like a tail to the weak ones. And you were so weak and you were so tired. And you did not fear God. And then you should know there's a mitzvah, and we say this mitzvah, we have to remember this mitzvah every single day, not just once a year by Parsha Zachor. But there is a mitzvah, when Hashem removes lecha mikol oivecha misaviv ba'aretz, removes all your oivim, all your enemies, asher Hashem elokecha noten nachala lirishta, and Hashem gives you the nachala, that gives you the Eretz Yisrael as an inheritance. Timcha et zecher Amalek mitachat hashamayim. You have to eradicate Amalek from under the Shemaim. So we have to understand what's going on here. What's this korcha b'derech? What is it that Amalek did that we have to remember every single day? We don't have a mitzvah like this with any other war. We don't have a mitzvah to remember every single day the war of Hanukkah. We don't have a mitzvah of every single day to remember any of the wars. But yet when it comes to Amalek, there's a mitzvah to remember every single day what Amalek did. And if it's a mitzvah, I have to understand what Amalek did and perhaps is still doing. Because I have the mitzvah of Timcha et Zecher Amalek, Lo Tishkach. But if I don't have the two conditions of Hashem removing my oivim and Hashem giving me the land, then how do I fulfill this mitzvah? I can't Timcha et Zecher Amalek according to the psukim. In fact, we see that by Mordechai, who he knew that Haman was from Amalek, why didn't he just kill him? He didn't just kill him, even though he knew it was Amalek, Zera Amalek, because he didn't meet these two conditions. He wasn't in Eretz Yisrael, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't remove the oivim, and therefore he couldn't just kill Amalek. So if we can't just kill Amalek, even if we knew who Amalek was, then why do we have to remember this all the time? And how do I fulfill this mitzvah of Lo Tishkach? So let's look at Rashi for a minute. Asher karcha baderech, says Rashi, the pshat, he chanced upon you, mikrahu. He came and he surprise attacked you, and that's a terrible thing. But even Rashi agrees, and he says that can't be the basis for which we have this mitzvah, because that's how war is played out. It's surprise attack. Rachmana litzlan, we know what surprise attacks are. But that's how war is. So we have to remember every single day Amalek because he mikrahu. So says Rashi, a second and a third pshat, and his third pshat, he says the famous medrash. He says, Lashon kor v'chom. Asher karcha baderech comes from the lashon, from the language of cold and hot. Tzinenecha v'hifshircha meritatcha. He made you cold from your boiling hot state. And he brings a medrash and he says, imagine there was a hot tub, a very, very hot tub of boiling water. The first person to jump in cools off the water for everyone else. And that was terrible what Amalek did. He was the first one to attack Bnei Yisrael. But Chazal tell us even further. Chazal tell us not only did Amalek cool us off from other nations, and therefore other nations felt like they could attack, but Amalek cooled us off from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Asher Karcha, going back on to the first pshat of Rashi, Mikrehu. Amalek comes and wants to, Kiviyachol, come to show us there is no hashgacha pratit chas v'shalom. There is mikre. Mikrehu. Cool off from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't be so excited about Yiddishkeit. We just came out of Mitzrayim. We were in love with Hashem. We were passionate. We were so connected. And comes Amalek and says, no, mikrehu. Everything you saw up until now is mikrehu. Asher karcha b'derech. He made you cold along the way. He came to show you that hashgacha pratit is not such a big thing. Don't be so excited. And look at what happens to us when we get to that point. Asher karcha b'derech. Ve'ata ayef. You were tired, ve'yageya, and weak. Ve'lo yare Elokim. Who was lo yare Elokim? Ata. He created within you a situation, a matzav, where we got to the point of lo yare Elokim. Rahman al-Itzlan. This is what Amalek did. Let's understand. He created in us an ayefut. Who was ayef in Tanakh? Who was Ayef? Let's understand what Amalek did to us. Amalek gave us Krirut HaSheleg, that Shlomo Melech is talking about Krirut HaSheleg. Krirut me HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Krirut me mitzvot. Who was Ayef? The Pasuk in Parshas tells us, Yaakov is making this soup, right? Yaakov is making Vayazid Yaakov Nazid, Vayavo Esav min Hasadeh, Esav, the grandfather of Amalek, Vehu Ayef. He's tired. Tell us, Chazal, Ayef? What is he Ayef from? He should be right.
Adina, we lost you. Adina, we can't hear you.
Went into mute, maybe.
No, it's not into mute.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. Okay.
Want me back? That was the day where Esav did the Averos, the three terrible Averos, Shfichus Damim, Gilui Arayos, and Avodah Zara. He had dropped all the mitzvos. He was ayeh from the mitzvos. He was tired of mitzvos. And his Amalek, his grandson Amalek, what does he come and want to do to Bnei Yisrael? Ve'ata ayef. He makes you asher karcha b'derech. He makes you cold. You just came out of Mitzrayim. We were so excited. We were just uplifted and inspired by everything we just saw at Kriyas Yamsuf. And comes Amalek asher karcha b'derech. He makes you ayef. He says to you, Krirut kar, it's cold. Don't be so, chill out. Don't be so inspired. Don't be so frum. Don't be so connected. And that tells us Chazal lo tishkach. That is timche. Timche this. Because what happens when a person gets into the state of ayef and asher karcha? What happens? Let's take a look. There's a beautiful story. The story is told to us that when Yaakov Avinu was running away from Lavan, he took his family and he took his all of his wealth and all of his children, and he goes and he's going back to Eretz Canaan. He realizes he forgot pachem katanim. He forgot a few small jars across the Yabok River. So he goes by himself to go get those pachem. And the pasuk says that he met Malach Esav there, and they were fighting. And when Malach Esav realized he couldn't fight Yaakov, so he goes and he gives him a physical zbang. He hits him in the Gid HaNashe. We have the mitzvah, we don't eat from the Gid HaNashe, it's an Isur. But then there's an interesting part there, and it says, the Malach says to Yaakov, Vayomer, Shalcheni, send me now, ki Allah hashachar. He says, I have to go, I'm a malach, I have to sing praises to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vayomer lo ashalechacha, I'm not sending you, ki im berachtani. You have to bless me first. You're a malach? I need you to give me a bracha. What does it mean I need you to give me a bracha? I need you to tell me what it is that you're trying to do. You're fighting me right now. You hit me in the Gid and Nash, and Chazal tells us this was the symbolism of trying to fight my lineage, my children. I need to know what you're going to do. What is your essence? He says to Malach Esav. Vayomer Lav, Malach Esav says, Ma shmecha, what's your name? Vayomer Yaakov. Says, my name is Yaakov. He says, okay, your name is now changing. It's going to be Yisrael because you fought against the Malach and you succeeded. And then Yaakov says, Vayishal Yaakov Vayomer. Yaakov says, what's your name? Hagite na shmecha. Who are you? What should I tell my lineage, my children, my future generations? What is your essence? What are you trying to do? You, Esav, what's your essence? Why are you attacking me? How do we recognize you when you come to attack? Vayomer, lama ze tish'al lishmi. Why do you ask for my name? Vayivarech oto sham, and he blesses him, and that's the end of the story. That's a very strange ending, very strange response. Why should you ask my name? So the pshat is, we answer, he as a malach, he has many different names. Why do you ask my name? Every time my job changes, my name changes. But how did that answer Yaakov? Yaakov asked him, Ma shmecha, what's your essence? When he changed Yaakov's name from Yaakov to Yisrael, he changed his essence. He said, your essence is that you're a gibor, you can fight, you'll get through challenges. Nothing will get you down. He changed Yaakov's essence. And Yaakov is saying, what's your essence? And he says, oh, what are you asking my name? So Hagon Rav Chasman says, na. He told him his essence. Lama ze tish'al zehu shmi. You want to know what I'm going to try to institute and infuse your generation with? You want to know what my essence as Esav and Amalek is? Ze lama ze tish'al. Don't look around you. Don't contemplate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't think too much. Don't ponder. Don't be connected. Because if you start thinking and you look around the world, you'll realize that you'll fall in love with Hashem. So me, Esav, I'm going to come, and what's going to be my essence in my attack to your children is don't think. Be so busy, be so distracted, be so cooled off, be so disconnected that you won't have a chance to think. Because David HaMelech tells us, Ta'amu ur'u, just taste, see, ur'u, you'll see, ki tov Hashem. When you just look around you in the world, you just open your eyes and you give it a moment, you'll see HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running the world. There is nothing that is haphazard. There is nothing that is mikrehu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has complete hashgacha on every single detail of not only our lives, but of the global world. And that's what Amalek is afraid of. Amalek is afraid that we're going to connect. Amalek is afraid that we're going to have meetings like this and we're going to get inspired. Amalek wanted to lekarer otanu. Amalek wanted to cool us off, to distance us. Amalek is here to come and make us not think. What happens when we think? Look at the story of when Rivka comes. She's coming with Eliezer to greet Yitzchak. And Yitzchak vayetze Yitzchak lasuach basadeh. He was going out, and that's when he instituted mincha. He went out to daven mincha, but why he went out to the sadeh? Why couldn't he daven in his ohel? He couldn't daven in a tent. Dafka, he had to go out to the sadeh. Chazal tell us he went out to the sadeh to look at the world, to look at the leaves, to look at nature, and to see the Ribbono Shel Olam. To connect through the hashgacha, through the emunah of just looking at the awesomeness of the world. And that's exactly when he instituted mincha. And when he came back, Rivka saw this holy, glowing man. She was awestruck, and she fell off the camel and she covered herself because he was glowing. That what he experienced of Basadeh, but just going out and looking at the sky, at the sun, at the trees, at the flowers, realizing how HaKadosh Baruch Hu has so much that he loves us and wants to give to us, Hatov ve'Hameitiv. That connection made him an inspired.
Adina, we lost you again. We can't hear you. Can't hear. Mm-mm.
Okay, how's that?
Perfect. Go ahead. Perfect.
The Yetzer Hara is trying to get involved. We're not going to let. Let's take a look at what happens when Bnei Israel fall prey to this krirut. What happens when Bnei Israel are in Refidim? Comes Amalek. Where did Amalek attack Bnei Israel? In Refidim. Says Chazal over there in the Mefarshim, they say, Maze Refidim, Rafu yadeha min haTorah b'makom hazeh. In this place, they kind of like let loose a little bit. They let weak a little bit from their Torah learning. They let weak from their Torah learning. Comes Amalek and attacks. Fast forward. Haman comes to Achashverosh. And Haman says, Yeshno am echad mefuzar umefarag ben ha'amim. Now Haman was Mizera Amalek. He was Haman ha'agagi, Agag melech Amalek. And he says to Achashverosh, Yeshno am echad, there's this nation, mefuzar, mefarad, it's spread around ben ha'amim. Maza Yeshno, says the Mefarshim. Well, yesh, there is. Maza Yeshno. Yeshno, he was telling Achashverosh, Yeshenim hem b'mitzvot. You know, Achashverosh, this is the best time not to attack. Why? Because they're not very passionate about their mitzvot. Hem yeshenim, they're weak, they're tired. And therefore now is the time to attack them. And what's the remedy? Comes Esther HaMalka and she says, Knos et kol haYehudim v'tzumu alai. Go daven, connect yourselves again, re-inspire yourselves. And within 24 hours, Haman was hanging. So we see that Amalek comes at the vulnerable times of when we are korcha baderech, when we're cold, when we're ayef, when we're yagea, v'chas v'shalom lo yareh Elokim. That's Amalek's job. That's what Esav told Yaakov. That's going to be my mission. I'm going to come and try to make them cool off. You know, there was an interesting procedure in the Beit HaMikdash. In the Beit HaMikdash, there was a procedure called melika. Melika was when the Kohen would take the bird korban, would put it in his hand, a little tiny bird korban. Right? There was all kinds of korbanot. They brought cows, they brought sheep. They also used to bring birds, the dove. And he would, with his thumb, sever the head, would do shechita with his thumb, sever the head from the body. This was called melika. But melika is the same shoresh as Amalek, because the severing of the mind and the emotion of the body, of our action, of the connection between our excitement and what our logic and understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Hodu l'Hashem ki tov, and our actions lead up to that severing of emotion and action was exactly what Amalek wanted to do. And so what's the Eshet Chayil understand? Lo tira leveita mishaleg. She's not afraid of this sheleg, of this krirut. She's not afraid of the krirut of Amalek. She's not afraid of the krirut of this korcha baderech. Ki chol beita lavush shanim. She's dressing her family in red silk. Silk is known to be a royal garment. It was for royalty. She's dressing them in red, and the Metzudat David tells us, Ki tiv'o lechamem me'od. It's a color that is hot, that is passionate, which is why it is not sanua for a woman to wear outside. It's a color that brings heat and passion and excitement. But where is she dressing? Who is she dressing in this color? Her family. Beveita, in her home, because she's combating the krirut of Amalek. She's dressing them with excitement and passion in Yiddishkeit, with excitement and passion for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She's pointing out hashgacha pratit all the time. She's not afraid of the Amalek that's going to try and bring the car, because she's constantly bringing in emunah. She's constantly bringing in anachnu b'nei melachim. We are royalty. We are ben melech. We're bat melech. We wear silk, we wear royal clothing. We're red, we're excited, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That constant infusion of excitement is what she brings into the home. She brings in the appreciation, like Yitzchak Avinu, to go out and look at the world and see the hashgachat of Ribono Shel Olam. She points this out to the children. She dresses them, kiviyachol, she dresses them with emunah and excitement and love and ahava towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's how we combat the Amalek. So to go back to our original question, can we fulfill this mitzvah? Is there a reason why we have to remember this on a daily basis? Absolutely. On a daily basis, we have to remember that Amalek is going to come and try every single day to distance us from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, however that might look. And for each of us, it might look different. That recognizing that the mission statement of Esav, the mission statement of Amalek is Lama ze tish'al, don't stop and think. Because if you stop to think, you might fall in love with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You might actually see the truth. And therefore, we have a mitzvah on a daily basis. Lo tishkach, timche et zecher Amalek. Remember to dress ourselves and our family in the shani, in the clothing of kichol beita lavush shanim, in the clothing of royalty, in dressing us with understanding that we are bnei melachim, ashreinu matov chelkeinu, that we are part of an Amma Yehudi like this. Look at who we have here. Look at what we're doing this morning. Ashreinu matov chelkeinu. And with this tiv'o lechamem me'od, with this passion for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, may we be zocha as nashim tzidkaniyot to bring the geula shlema b'mheira v'yameinu. And like I said, we'll dance together. Nashim tzidkaniyot. We brought the first geula, it was bizchuteinu, and Chazal tell us, u'bizchutan atidin lehigael. It is the women who will bring the final geula as well. Ashreichen v'ashreichen. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Adina. Thank you so much. That was so gorgeous. Thank you. That was so beautiful. Thank you, Adina.
Thank you.
Are you open for one or two questions, Adina? Are you open?
Sure.
Does anybody want to ask? Does anybody have a question for Adina that they would like to ask before we get off? Anyone? You know, it's so interesting. I wanted to ask you something. You know, Adina, you talk about the ayefut from the, we talk about the ayefut that they created, but the ayefut was really the ayefut of more so the disengagement of our kesher to a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, it's interesting because, you know, living in Eretz Yisrael as I do, right? It's been very, very intense in terms of, you know, hearing what we hear. It's almost like it's like we're facing Amalek again. You know, when you look at the level of what we've encountered, and the ayefut is a different sort of ayefut. You know what I mean? There's an awakening of the pnimius, but there's an ayefut of the physical because of what we're seeing.
Right.
Would you say, Adina, that there's a similarity?
So there's definitely an ayefut of the physical, but I want to share with you something. If I have a few minutes, if ladies don't mind.
Go ahead. No,
my,
go.
My Rebbe, what my Rebbe, Rabbi Chaimov, back in New York, shared with me once. He said, if you look at the brachos in the morning, sometimes people make a mistake and they say Baruch Hanoten leYa'ef Koach, and they think Ribono Shalom, give to the Ayef Koach, but it doesn't say Ayef. It doesn't say to the weary, even though I think some translations in the Siddur might say weary, but it doesn't say weary. It says Ya'ef. Give to the Ya'ef Koach. The one say Ya'ef. And he explained a beautiful pshat, and he says Ya'ef milashon la'uf. He says, when you're in flight, a bird is in flight, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can continue giving koach, he'll continue giving the wind to keep your wings up. He says, but never land. Never land, because once you land, the wind just pushes you further, makes you tired. He says, keep yourself in flight as hard as it may be, but you should know when you're ya'ef, and you're flying and you're continuing, and sometimes the bird goes down a little bit, but keep yourself in flight, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu noten koach, he'll give more wind to the ya'ef. So yes, there is that ayefut from what we're going through. And as Klal Yisrael, we are all together, we are all sensing the v'namar letzarotenu dai, but we have to remember, keep ourselves ya'ef, because ayefut is not part of our DNA. Our DNA is not ayef v'yagea, because that leads to v'lo yareh Elokim. That's the landing. That's the zehu. I'm done. And we have to continue being afim ya'ef, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu mamshich be'ezrat Hashem letet koach. And we see throughout the generations that Klal Yisrael is made up of something different entirely. We are made up of emunah and bitachon, and we are made up of
Chesed.
And chesed, and as
Unbelievable. Rachamim. The
HaKadosh
heart.
Baruch
We are the heart.
Yes.
We are the heart. We are
Yes.
mamish, the heart of the world.
Correct.
It's amazing. Amazing. Let me see if anybody else has a question before we get off. Does anybody else have a question for Adina?
Yes. Hi.
Go ahead.
Why can't we wear red?
Right. So there's a halacha that stated that an entirely red garment to be worn is not a tsanua. It's not so, because it is very attractive, right? And again, based on this Mitzudat David, we see that it's a very hot, passionate color. It elicits emotions, and these are the type of feelings that would not be tsanua to elicit from a woman and a man who are not connected to each other, who should not be connected to each other. Although if you look at the next pasuk, she herself wears a garment. In the pasuk, it says, Marvadim astar la shesh ve'agaman levusha. She herself does wear red, but at home for her husband. So where we do elicit this tiv'o lechamem me'od, this teva of the nature of the red, full red garment. And it's a particular type of red. It's not all shades of red. There's many shades of red, but this emotional passion or heat to minimize that connection between an inappropriate place. So it's not a tsanua color for a woman to wear outside of her home. That's what the Chachamim
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay,
Quickly,
Adina. Charlene, you have a question? Just a question.
A quick one. When she said, thank you for your lecture, you mentioned, "Anoten la ya'ef koach," you have to keep flying and keeping yourself above. And practically speaking, a very practical person. How do you do that with what's going on in our life, in the nation of Israel? How do you do that and maintain that flight? It's just, I don't do it. I can't. Sometimes I am going and flat on the floor, because that's
Adina?
what
Adina, you
happens
want to
me.
address that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think we all feel the same way sometimes. We just fall flat on our faces. We have a lot of nisyonot in our generation, a lot of nisyonot, but I tell you that this morning right now, this situation, what I'm experiencing now is making me feel fly, making me feel and fly high. There are times in life where we have to find how to give ourselves that inspiration, how to pick ourselves up, how to look for the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look at Klal Yisrael. I look at Klal Yisrael.
Amazing.
And I'm so proud to feel part of an amazing nation. Yes, there are challenges and there are nisyonot, and Amalek will come and try to push us down. But Am Yisrael has to remember that we are the nation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Hashem has hashgacha on everything, and we might not understand everything. We're not meant to understand everything. If I remember the pasuk, that it says that Mizmor LeDavid Chanukat HaBait. Yeah, it says that David HaMelech makes a mizmor for Chanukat HaBait. David HaMelech never built the Beit HaMikdash. David HaMelech did not. He wanted to build a Beit HaMikdash. He wanted so badly, but he didn't. So why is he writing a mizmor for Chanukat Beit HaMikdash? He never built it. It says because David HaMelech understood that even though I don't understand, and I don't understand the reasons, I still sing to Hashem. I still
Right.
think that Hashem understands, Hashem knows. And so that's what keeps us going, is that I don't have to understand everything. I'll never understand everything. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, and I have emunah and bitachon that Hashem has a cheshbon. And that's what keeps me, even when I'm not flying high because I'm not in a good place maybe, but at least I'm staying in flight. I'm not landing, because landing is ayafut. And that's when we begin to lose that connection.
Wow. Thank you so much, Adina. That was incredible. Thank you so, so much. Incredible. Thank you, Adina. I hope you'll come back again. Thank you so much. The girls are so lucky to have you. Thank you. They're so lucky to have someone like you. You're really inspirational. Baruch Hashem. Beautiful. Thank you. Does anybody want to finish off with the Shulamit? Are you on?